Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Video Fashion, and today we are learning how to make this asymmetric bustier blouse with 720-degree peplum with puffs. So if you enjoyed the tutorial, please share, subscribe, and please like my channel as well. Thank you. This peplum top, the measurement I will use is the shoulder to nipple is 9.5, shoulder to underbust is 12.5, shoulder to half length is 16, then the blouse length is 23, the circumference of the bust is 34.5, circumference of the underbust is 30, that of the half length is 31, then the nipple to nipple is 6.5. I'm going to need that for my bustier. Then the shoulder circumference is 16. For the sleeve, the bicep is 12, then the elbow is 11. So now, the first thing I will do, since it's a double peplum top, the first thing I will do is I will cut my peplum top. I will cut the peplum first, because that is going to consume more fabric than other parts. So, to cut the peplum is 720-degree peplum. So that means I'm having 2 circles at the end of the, so that means I'm going to cut 360-degree twice. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll fold my fabric into 4, and I have video on how to cut 720-degree peplum. So if you don't understand well, you can check the video out. So this is the way I'm going. This is the joint part, so I'll bring it down like this. So I'm going to have folded part twice. This is folded, you can see it's joined, and this other part too is joined. So that's the way I can only get my circle. I will ensure there is no folding inside. So after that, I will subtract the half length from the blouse length. The blouse length is 23 inches, then the half length is 16 inches. So 23 minus 16 will give me 7 inches. So that's 7. I will add 1 to it. That's for the sewing allowance. So 1 plus 7 will give me 8 inches. So that's for the first peplum. You know the first peplum is the biggest. I'll measure my 8 inches. I'm not going to use this edge. So I'll measure the 8 inches here. Then I'll go around with the 8 inches. That's 2.5. 2.5. I'll go around with that 2.5. So this is going to be my waist length. So I'm going to use the waist measurement, and the waist measurement is 31. And I told you that I'm using 720-degree peplum. So for my first 360-degree, which means 720 divided into 2, that will give me 360. So for the first 360-degree, this is what is going to happen. I'll just say 31 inches divided by 8. You know, if I want to get the 360-degree, I folded my fabric into 4. So I'll just say, if it is 360-degree, I'll just say 31 divided by 4. But since it's going to be 720-degree and 360 is divided by 4, definitely 720 will be divided by 8, which is, I'm going to cut these pieces into, I'm still going to cut another of this. I said 360 into 2. So now that will be 31 inches divided by 8. 31 that I'm going to divide by 8, I will add sewing allowance of zip allowance of 2 inches to it. So that 31 will be 33 inches. 33 divided by, it will now be 33 divided by 8. You know, I've added my zip allowance to it. So 33 divided by 8 will give 4.1. So that 4.1, I will add half inch to it because I'm cutting twice of this, and one will be joined to the other. So that's for joining the two together. So that will give me 4.6. So I'll measure what I have here. The total I have here, if it is up to 4.6 inches, if it is here. So now I have like 4.7, which is still okay. So the next thing I'll do is I'll measure the circumference I have here. This is the length I have here. This is 10.5 inches. Then I'll go around with that 10.5 inches. Then I'll cut it out. First one back on my fabric, then I cut the second piece. So what I'm going to do now is I'll open up one side, then this will join to each other. That's why I said you need to add extra ½ inch allowance. So this is the purpose of the extra ½ inch. You just join this middle together. So this is the 720. This is the 720 degree. Now I said at the end of it I must have 2 circles. So now I want to cut the one that will be on top of this. So what I will do now is the length of this is 8. This is the first one. So the one that is going to be on top of it, I'll just minus like 2 inches or 2.5, depending on how you want the style, depending on how the style is. So for this I'm going to use 2.5. So this is where the upper one is going to end. So you know the total of this is 8 inches, then minus 2.5, that will give me like 5.5 rather, 5.5. I folded my fabric back in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, in 4. So what I'm going to do now is, since I already have pieces of the first one I did, I can place it back here and trace it out. Or since I already know what I measured here earlier is 2.5, what I'll just do is measure from this down part the 5.5 that I needed. So I'll just chalk out my 5.5, then come back here. If this is going to be 2.5, if it's not up to, I'll adjust it or use this to trace it. So now I'll go around with that 2.5 again. Then I'll measure from here to here, 8 inches. You know 2.5 plus 5.5 is 8 inches. You can see the upper one is very easy. So I'm going to cut twice of this as well. Still, I'll first measure the half length of the blouse. The half length is 16 inches. Then I will add ½ inch for seam allowance. Then the under bust is 12.5. I'll chalk that out. Then nip point is 9.5 inches. So I'll rule everything out. Sorry, I folded my fabric into 2. After that, I'll measure the shoulder circumference. That's 16 inches. Divided by 2 will be 8 inches. Then I'll come down by 7 inches. That's for my armhole. Then at that point I'll measure 4.5 inches from that 7 inches. Then at this angle I'll measure 1 inch. So here I'll measure the nipple to nipple, that's 6.5 divided by 2 will give me 2 points. I'll be 3.25. So I'll go with that 3.25 to the half length. Then here, I'll come back here and measure the circumference of the bust. That's 34.5 divided by 4 will give me 8.7 or derivation. Then I'll add 2 inches extra allowance to that. Then on the other bust, the circumference there is 30. I will add 2 inches. 30 divided by 4 will give me 7.5. Then I will add 2 inches seam allowance. On the half length is 31. 31 divided by 4 will give me 7.75 or so. Then I'll add 2 inches seam allowance to it. Then I'll connect the lines. Here, I'll just transfer what I have here, 11 inches. Then add 1 inch. That's for the armhole. So for the bustier, I've already chalked out the nipple points. What I'll do now is I'll come to this, add half to this point on the nipple point, then connect it to this 4.5, where it will be in curve shape. Then I'll come here and measure 2 inches to the under bust, then give it a curve shape again. But on this 4.5, I'll measure another 3 inches. That's what this one is going to be connected to. So because I've used 2 inches here, I'll add 2 inches extra to the allowance I have here. That's all. Yes. Notch the underbust and notch the underbust of this. So I'll cut the back. The back, I'll measure the length of the half length. That's 16 inches. That's from shoulder to half length. Then I'll add half inch for the seam allowance to join the peplum. So then I will come up here, measure the nipple point, the underbust, then nipple point. The nipple point is 9.5. I'll rule it out. And the next thing is I will measure my zipper allowance. I'm using 2 inches for the zipper allowance. Then I'll connect the lines. After that, after the zipper allowance, I'll come up here and measure the circumference of my shoulder. That's 16 inches. Then I'll come down by 7 inches. Then from that 7 inches, I'll chalk 4.5. Then come to this side and measure 1 inch inside. Connect it. That's to my armhole. Then I'll come to this point, the the nipple point. I'll measure the circumference of my bust point. That's 34.5 divided by 4. That will give me 8.7 about, plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Then at the under bust, I'll measure the circumference of the under bust. That's 30 inches. Then plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then for the half length is 31. 31 divided by 4 will give me 7.7 or so. Then plus 2 inches seam allowance. So I'll just connect my lines. Then here I'll measure the circumference I have here, that's 13 inches. Transfer it to the armhole slope, then add 1 inch to it just to give it that sharp shape. So the next thing is to measure my darts. You know, the nipple to nipple of my client is 6.5. That's like 3.25. Then I will add half on this side, half on this side. Connect this line, half here, half here. That's for the darts. Then I'll cut everything out. Then after that, I want to do the neckline now. So for the neckline, the style has asymmetric neck. So I'll come here and measure 3 inches. For the back, there's no asymmetric at the back. So this is going to be 3 inches by 6 inches. I want it to come down small. I'll give it a half shape. Then the shoulder, I'll come here and measure 1 inch, then slant it to the neckline. So that's for this back. I'll just open up the middle part. The notch where the dart is going to be. So for the front, this is the front. So I want to do the neckline now. I'll measure 3.5 inches, just the way I did for the back. Then because it is asymmetric neck, I'll still cut it together like so. I'll come down with 3 inches. Then come to this shoulder. Measure 1 inch here. Then slant it just the way I did for the back. After that, I'll open it up. This is the front. So the asymmetric is facing this side. That's why I'm turning it to the front side. So what I will do now is from this point, I'll measure 6 inches. That's how low I want it to be. So I'll just this shape here. I don't want it to be too down, so I'll cut it out. Then this particular one, I will replace it. You know, this is, I'm going to replace it with just a strap. Let me just strap of like 3 inches. So from my remaining fabric, I'll cut 3 inches out. I'll just fold it into 2 like so. Then 3 inches. But what I will do now is I will add allowance to it for the joining. Now I'm still going to join it back with the main bodies, so I will add allowance of 1 inch to it. I want to notch the down part so that I will know that this is what is going to enter the bodice. So this is how it's going to be. So what I will do now is I'll just get my additional material, the one that I want to use for this side, and I'll use it to cut the design here. Let me just pin this together so that doesn't fall. The length I want to use for this sleeve is 16 inches. So at first I'll measure 2 inches, then I'll measure 5 inches. So the 5 inches is the bicep. So the circumference of the bicep is 12 inches. So then I added 1 inch seam allowance to it. Then I'll transfer anything I have here. The total I have here is 7 inches. So I'll transfer the 7 inches here. Then add 1 inch extra to it. Then create a slant shape. You know, this is the sleeve, so it must have curve just like the armhole, this thing. Okay. I'll just from there I'll give it this curve shape. Then here, the total circumference of here is 11 inches. That's 5.5. Then I'll add 1 inch seam allowance. This is for normal sleeve. But because this sleeve is puff sleeve now, all these measurements now, I would add 10 inches to it. So now, I'll add 10 inch and I just did this just to explain normal sleeve, so you know how I came about this. Okay. You know, I will have to shift this to the back. So this is for the first sleeve. Then I'll cut it out.